Okay, folks. Welcome. I think my audio is working. I think so. I think the audio is working. All right. This is new. We're learning. We're learning as we go. It's always a challenge, a change, and whatnot. Just like the sport of bowling, it's always changing, always doing stuff. Welcome back to another edition of TS Live. I had to reconnect my Facebook and stuff, so it took a minute to get that all reconnected back so we can be streaming here. Just trying to change up the look a little bit, just making sure the mic is working. I believe it's working. I don't know if you can hear me out there. It says I'm streaming on TikTok, so I believe I'm live on TikTok because it says it's streaming. We are live on Instagram, Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, you name it, we're there. So let's get into it. A couple weeks ago, because we did not have a show last week because I was out traveling to Portland for the PBA Roth Holman doubles. That was actually a really great week. I was really thankful that I was able to take the time off and enjoy watching the PBA live. I got to meet our guy Tim Foy Jr. for the first time. It was really excellent meeting Tim. He was beyond awesome. I wouldn't expect anything less from Tim. He signed some stuff for me, which is really nice. I do have the chamois. I got to try and reach out to the people again that did win for our little friendly competition that we had going on. Tim's autographed. I'll show them to you. I got them right over here. We got the autographed Tim Foy Jr. chamois that are going out to the winners. Again, I'm going to comment again, trying to get them. As soon as I get shipping information for those folks, I will send that gear out to them, as well as the ball spinners. We do have the custom ball spinners. I'll show them again. The ball spinners kind of look like this right here. It says Tournament Sense on one side, 5 spinner, and this is customized. What's going on, Gavin? So these, you can actually buy these on the store, but we did give away a couple of those. As we get into 500 followers, we'll do another giveaway of random swag. I still have a few more chamois left. I can print out the ball spinners anytime, which is nice. But it was really nice meeting Tim. I got to meet Zach Wilkins as well and AJ Chapman, who ultimately beat Tim and Kevin. And can we talk about Kevin McCoon for a second? That dude is just a straight up beast. I have no idea how Kevin McCoon can throw that ball so fast. He's whipping that sucker like 28, 29 miles an hour. It's crazy. And he's throwing it with ease. Yeah, send me your address, Gavin, and I'll shoot you a spinner free of charge. So no problem for you because of the feedback that you gave me and the troubleshooting we went through. So as a thank you from me to you, I'll send you, I'll message you and I'll get some details on the colors and stuff that you want on the spinner. So as appreciation for me, because I am very thankful of the feedback that you gave me. So that was really thankful. But then Kevin was really nice to meet him. It's the first time I really met Kevin. I did meet some of the other guys out there. The highlight of my trip, though, besides meeting Tim, and I will say this, meeting Tim and working with Tim is by far one of the best experiences I've had, especially working with a professional. But if you know bowling and you know me, I started watching bowling because of EJ Tackett. And I feel bad about this, but I don't. I was able to get my EXJ ball signed by EJ. And a little story about this one is I felt really bad because when I went up to him, he was sitting there with Ronnie Russell, and they were just sitting there doing nothing. So I thought they were just getting ready for the next session and so forth. It was like that in-between time. And I just happened to look up and saw EJ was there. And I was like, oh my God, EJ's there. So I went over to him. I said, excuse me, EJ. I hate to bother you because, I try to be respectful of the pros. And they were all very nice. I said, I have a question. I said, if I brought in a ball, would you mind signing it for me? He goes, no, absolutely not at all. And I'm on the phone with my wife at this time too. And so I run out to my truck, and luckily I was parked right outside of Bayside. And I run out to the truck, I grab the ball, I come back in, and now it's just EJ sitting at the table. So I come up, now his back's to me. I turn around to go put the ball on the table, and he's eating his dinner. I was like, oh my God, I am so sorry, EJ. He's like, it's okay. EJ Tackett stops Ian to sign my ball. And I also had, my son wasn't able to make it. And so I had a chamois signed by as many of the pros that I could. I went and had them sign a chamois for my son. But I thought it was very nice and grateful that EJ stopped eating his dinner, very politely signed my ball, which is going to be on the rack. I'm going to get a nice display for it. And then I have on my shelf another ball. You guys can't really see it on the corner over there. That a good friend of mine, he passed away. He gave me the bowling ball. It was his bowling ball. So that's on my shelf. I have another friend that passed away that I gave him a bowling ball. And he never got to use it because he passed away before then. So I'm going to get that bowling ball back from his wife. And that's going to go on my shelf in memory of my buddy Alex. And then Tim, next time I see him, I couldn't find a silver Sharpie, but Tim was going to sign one of my Brunswick balls for me, so I can put that on my shelf as well, just for my personal collection. But yeah, man, it was so awesome. I've met EJ before, and like I said, I try not to mess with them, but it was really grateful that they signed my stuff. The show was amazing. I chose not to stand in a spot that you could be seen on camera. And I also, the only time I wore Tournament Sense gear at the PBA event was during the Pro-Am event at Interstate Bowling, Donna. I had multiple conversations with Donna this week. Well, not this week, during the event. She's a great owner, operator of Interstate Bowling up there in Hollowell, Maine, just outside of Augusta, Maine. So she's really, really nice owner. Always pleasant when I meet her and talk to her and so forth. So they do a good job with the lanes in that small center. They did an excellent job, speaking with Boog Crow, Marshall Kent. Let's see, who else did I bowl with then? It was Marshall Kent, Boog Crow, AJ Chapman, AJ Johnson was there. Pat Dombrowski, I got to talk with Pat and his wife. Very lovely woman. And Pat, he was super awesome. We were talking about roller coasters, which is really cool. And I really like that Pat has the roller coasters on the back of his jerseys. Yeah, my plan is to go out to Thunderbowl sometime, Gavin, just because it's such an iconic spot for the PBA. And I like to travel, so one of these days I'm going to make it out to Thunderbowl and bowl. We were out there in that vicinity, I guess, because it's in the Michigan area. We went to, what's Bowler IQ? The one that has the 8-lane center, that pro shop and the accessory store. We went there last year when we went out to the PBA LBC, which I'm really sad that they're not doing the PBA LBC this year as well. I kind of wish they were doing the PBA LBC, but they're not. So it's a sad moment. I am headed out next week to Nationals, so I'll be out in Reno. I may do a live Monday night. I'm not quite sure yet. Or I may do a live while I'm out there. I've been also debating on doing some streaming, my practice sessions, maybe some league sessions over the summertime, and lead that into doing some league night type videos. There's a guy on the candlepin scene. He has a sweet setup. I want to check out his thing. It's actually tying into one of the updates that I'm going to be doing with Tournament Sense overall as an ecosystem. There's going to be some stuff for the content creators coming down the pike, which I'm really excited about. And we'll get into the version 2 update and some of the bugs that we're working on, right? Because I believe in being transparent. But right now, we're just doing our PBA recap. The matches were great. I really enjoyed the bowling. We all know about the drama that happened with Nate and that. I'm not going to touch too much on that. I was there. I didn't really see anything out of the ordinary. I will say, I don't know Nate Garcia too well, but the dude can bowl, and he's pretty smooth at bowling. Like, seeing him actually in person is pretty impressive. Like, his form and momentum. Like, watching all the pros, like, that's what I'm trying to strive for, is be that consistent. And Nate is very consistent, and I do like that about Nate. And him and Elise were very gracious enough to chat with me. They were pleasant people. So I enjoyed that. Um, I really liked Boog. Obviously, I loved Tim. I watched all of Tim's matches, and I stayed there trying to cheer him on, trying to be as good um, advocate for them, or helper if they needed something, but they really didn't, and just cheer him on like a good cheerleader. I did tell him I wasn't gonna wear a skirt and pom poms. It wasn't gonna happen. But at least I'll be there cheerleading them on. And I opted to sit. So at Bayside, they have a balcony that you can actually see and overlook the lanes, and you can kind of get like a nice downhill spot. So we were directly behind the players. Sometimes they show that on TV, sometimes they don't. This time they did not. So it was sad that I wasn't on TV, but I could have been. We actually met Ethan Fury's aunt and uncle in line. That was really awesome. They were sweet people. They drove up from Long Island. So it was really nice to meet some of the family. Actually saved seats next to us for his aunt and uncle. And then his aunt ended up standing up down by the camera the entire time with the Bopo section. And if you've never been to Bayside, it's a crazy place. Oh, it is. It's a nice little it's had a nice little Bayside it's not a large center. It's not large by any stretch of the means. It's just the atmosphere in which they have and the way that it's set up with is just nice. I've been to two PBA events there. If they have another one, I'll go there again. It's just a really good atmosphere, and you're very intimate with the bowlers, because it's only like 20 lanes or something like that. I am sad to hear that Broadside Bowl is actually closing. That's Charlie, the proprietor's other business. We went there to go bowling, and we found out that that facility was actually closing. It's just not getting the bowling business that it needs, and that's only like 10 lanes, right? It's not a big center, so it's not really it'd be perfect for a training center, right? But I don't know how well it would do in Portland. And then we look fast forward to this week. Got to give shout out to the rookie Alex Horton. Beating the PTQ, just making it by a couple of pins, right? If I read that correctly, and then he went and just ran the step ladder up there and just worked his way to the victory for his first victory. He looked very cool and calm and collective. So congratulations, Alex. I don't know if you watch this podcast, but somehow maybe it'll go through there. So, they're not going to do one next year right now? Come on. They need to. I did say that wherever the doubles event is next year, I'm going to go to that. And depending on the schedule, I may be able to finagle another trip. But yeah, I mean, even this thing, I was actually glad to see Belmo made it, right? I'm not a major Belmonte fan, right? Because I'm more of an EJ, Tim Foy, Boog Kroll, Bill O'Neill. Those are my guys. Those are the guys I really enjoy watching. But my son loves Jason Belmonte, and I think that's why my son didn't go to Maine, is because Belmonte wasn't there. So he ended up making the show. I thought it was nice of Belmonte to go back home and spend some time with his family. But man, the rookies this year I'm loving it. Obviously I want Tim to win every match. But if not, these rookies, it's like I'm trying to figure out who's going to be player of the year. EJ is still sitting in the points leader. Last I checked, I didn't check before this live. But yeah, that's it. This week, I don't think there's any bowling this week. We did the CW. I got to talk to Kyle Sherman a little bit. I didn't really talk to Rick Allen. He was out at the Bayside earlier watching the action throughout the week. I saw Randy Peterson again. He's very kind of antisocial for the most part, Randy. But, see the Bowl TV setup crew. That was nice to see them there. I'm trying to think here. What else happened at Bayside? Besides, some really good bowling. Oh, I did make a good contact with a PBA person. So there's some stuff I'm trying to work on with the app and the PBA and so forth. So I've never hid the fact that my goal is to try to take out League Pals from all the Boleros. That's one of my goals because I hate the League Pals app. So I've actually been working crazily on the Director app this week, as well as some of the updates, and we'll get into the updates. I'll actually pull up the app now. Let's see here. Let's come this way. We'll pull up the app, the new app, right? This is version 2. It is on like version 2.08. I got to give our guy Gavin there in the chat a huge shout out because he reached out to me via the support ticket system and a message, and he's like, hey, I'm having a problem with this. It sent me a nice screenshot of the frame tracking screen. It was all squished and it was a bad experience. And I was like, oh my goodness, I had no idea it looked like that because my phone is larger than what Gavin's is. So it allowed me to see a different perspective because I can't have a million devices. I wish I could, but I can't. But I was able to now download an emulator for the iPhone that size, the smaller screen size for the older devices, and we were able to get it to work. I did make the screen in the practice session of the frame tracking. I'm literally going to click on here, right, on the mouse, but I'll use this as a cursor, but it's actually on my phone. This is my actual live stats, by the way. I'm not in the dev environment right now. I'm in the actual live version 2, which you see in the store session. So what we are able to do was we're able to kind of come in here and shrink this a little bit. You may not notice it, but you may. We made the home icons a little smaller, right? I still may make them a little smaller. They're showing up a little larger on the computer screen, but we were able to shrink this down a little bit, right, to give more space here to allow for when this screen shrinks. I'm like using my hand like onto the screen. So when this part shrinks, it actually will adjust and you don't lose the pins, right? What was happening was all these pin numbers were laying on top of each other. And it was just a bad experience. And we also shrunk the buttons down, as you can see here. They're all in one row now. Before this was down here, and so now it's a little bit better. And again, we're always using user feedback to try and make everything good. I really need to figure out why TikTok, it stops after like 8 minutes for some reason, then other times it just goes. So we're not live on TikTok anymore, but I don't care. We're going to continue on most of my interactions on Facebook anyways, just because I'm on Facebook and Instagram more than anything else. Pardon my cough. So we're able to fix that, and I wouldn't have known that was an issue if it wasn't for Gavin. So I really appreciate that feedback. I appreciate the patience, right? I do say this, and when I talk with Tim, we always talk about how I'm always trying to improve the overall app experience for users as well as myself, right? I'm trying to use it for myself. I did steal this section right here in the targeting from another app that I saw. I really like that. So you can, if you do a strike, you can actually just go back in to your strike and you can mark it Brooklyn. Brooklyn's probably my favorite strikes to hit because I raise up the left arm. I know how my buddy Jay and Bobby feel being a lefty, right, when I hit a left strike. So you'll be able to go back in and you can mark those strikes and you can change all your targeting if you remember. I always forget to do my targeting. I really need to start tracking it. I will do it more in practice sessions than I probably would in a game, but it does give valuable insights on where you're standing, where you're looking, and so forth, which is pretty nice. But what I did was, in version 2, I did decide to make the home screen a little more functional than what it was previous. So I kept the stats part minimal. This is just a recap of your last session. Whatever your last session you recorded, it's going to show you quickly right here. Yeah, I'm telling you, I was just doing it tonight too. So if you click into this, so if I click onto that, it's going to bring you right to your recap screen, right? And we got a little bit of insights, and we're always looking to add more stuff. The detailed recap screen, I really love this, and I'm going to tell you a funny story about this recap screen in a second when I go to the tournament recap screen, because I thought it was pretty funny. And then obviously when you click on the detailed recap, I share this screen a lot. You guys probably see Tim shares this screen a lot as well. If you click into here, you can get your frames. Right, I just bowled this tonight. This is actual my scores from tonight. I'm gonna get your gear league at the local Bolero Worcester. Eric Mahoney, he does a great job with the Bolero there in Worcester, aka Auburn, because it's actually in Auburn, Mass. But Eric does a phenomenal job. The staff there is always excellent to me. Mike, one of the managers, the bartenders, the wait staff, they're always very nice to me. I've known them for years over there. I just don't like the dust bunnies. That's the only thing I don't like about that center is it's a little dusty. But other than that, they do a great job with the lanes, trying to keep it going. And they actually have a mechanic named Mario, which is pretty cool. So you got Mario and Luigi. Um, so we got the recap screen, which is nice. This is easy share. And, because of the social sharing sizes, I had to get creative, right? So that's why you see the game options. So you can select what games. And now the game options is more for the frames and pins. Because if I had more than 3 games, this thing is going to increase. And the one thing I thought about doing was adding the game number like G1, G2, G3. But I don't know. I know all the other apps have it where it identifies, but I'm like, okay, maybe we just be a little different. But if users say they want to do that, then they will. The other thing that I really liked, this actually came back from feedback from a Reddit user, was he said it felt kind of clunky with adding a league session. And I was like, no, it don't do that. Like, and then I stopped and I went through and I was like, oh yeah, I'm repeating a lot of stuff to do a league session. So now, if I want to add a league session, I'm going to go to one that I'm a sub in. I'm just going to go to the good timers. It now automatically creates the event for you. And it brings you to this screen. And the reason I had it bring you to this screen here is there's multiple ways you can score a game within Tournament Sense. You don't always have to track the pins or the frames. You could just enter your overall score if you don't care about getting your pin data like I do. Right? If you don't care about strikes, spares, opens, you just want your raw scores and track your progress score-wise, you can do it easily right here, or you can just click on Start Live Scoring, right? And then you can go right into that week session. That's the Zoom session. So that's really nice. That was all brought on by a Reddit user. He actually goes through a bunch of the apps that are out there now. The Jusner, I think that's his name. I don't even know his real name, but I've talked with him a few times. He's active in the Bowling Tech Reddit forum on subreddit there. He's a really great user. He has his own app. I think it's like 710 pin or something like that. Just Android only because he has an Android. So he likes the apps that are Android. But he tests everyone's apps. Like all the apps, he tests them. He rates them. He gives some good feedback. And I did this to try to make it give me a little extra bump in score with his brownie points. But it actually made a lot of sense. And that's what I like. If it makes sense, I'm going to change it. I'm also going to use this type of functionality where it auto creates an event because coming down the pike, like literally in the next week or two, maybe sometime next week while I'm out in Reno, I'm going to officially make the coach beta live. And the coach beta and this beta, this app right here will get an update this week to fix a couple bugs we're going to go over in a few minutes. But the beta for this is going to go version 2.5 is going to have a separate beta that a user can get involved on, and they can access test flight, and it's going to be in a dev environment. So I don't recommend someone getting involved in it if they're tracking active scores because the scores are not going to carry over from the dev to the prod. It's just meant to get the functionality of the integrations between the coach app and this working. But I want to have the mobile app available for beta downloaders as well as in version 2.5 the web version of the app will go live as well. And guess what? It's going to look just like this for the most part. On a larger screen, it'll get the dashboard type of navigation where you may not see this. You'll see like a sidebar. And when that goes live, we'll do another session, one of these, and I'll showcase the web version of the app. But there's going to be coaches integrations and assignments. And if a coach says you want to practice spares, he's giving you 3 games to practice spares. And you need to track your spares, your pins, so the coach knows what they are. A coach's assignment will form just like this, so you can easily do that, which is pretty cool. So that's it. The shortcuts, this is pretty nice. You can just click here easily. If you have multiple leagues set up, it's going to ask you to do that. If you only have one league, if you're not tracking multiple leagues like myself, and you only have one, what's going to happen is it's just going to go right to that create event screen. So, and it does, you're probably noticing that it shows week 2. I only subbed in that league once. From a naming standpoint, it just shows week 1, week 2 in succession. right? You can easily go back in and modify that too if you choose, which is nice. Let's see. The other thing that we were able to fix in here was there was a bug with the candlepin because we did add candlepin support. So in candlepin support, we were able to, I'm just going to come to the settings. I don't know why my username says that. I don't think I ever changed my username. Interesting. I'm going to change that shit right now. Hold on a second. I didn't realize I didn't set my name. Username's already taken. Am I signed into my account? Yes. Huh. I'm gonna have to look into that. That's a bug I just caught. I can't even assign my own name to myself. Anywho, in settings here, I always find something. So I'm gonna add that to my note because I need to figure that out why it gave me that random username. But in here for Candlepin, we did fix the, I'm just going to select it. So now I'm in Candlepin session. I'm going to come to practice. I'm just going to start a new practice. Ryan's Walnut Hill, even though it's not a session. But as you can see here, we have the three frames over here. And then what was happening is if you did a box score, again, I'm not really a Candlepin guy, so I'm going to try and figure this out with some random selections. And we're just going to say we marked them all down. So what was happening before was it wasn't allowing you. So you see how this just went green? You see 244, right? It gives us a total of 10. In Candlepin, that means a 10 box, which basically means within 3 balls, you were able to get all of them down. So I was able to make an identifier of it, so you get 10 points. The other issue was in the 10th frame, it wasn't allowing you to close out the 3 frames with marks if you happen to get a spare and so forth. So that was fixed as well. And thank you to the Candlepin chat community on Facebook. They've been excellent, providing great feedback and so forth. I know a bunch of those users downloaded the app. So I appreciate you. And thank you for your patience. I am trying to be, like I said, I try to be on top of this for everyone and so forth. The use of the support system. I know a bunch of people have been using the support system to create it. If you didn't know, you just click on support, new ticket. You can also go to the website, and we'll pull that up right here. I'll just pull it up and then I'll drag it over. Because there's a security thing that everyone should be aware of and they should take advantage of. I don't even know which account this is logged in under. Oh, that's why my display name is, it's under my other test account. So the support tickets here as well. I'm logged in under a different account, so I'm gonna have to change this username and then rename myself Nerd Blurt because that's me. The biggest thing is this security part right here. You have to go on to the website tournamentsense.com/account, right? It links directly to your bowling app, right? If you see in here, all this information is set in your bowling app. It's not set on this particular profile because I don't use this profile personally. I use my other profile. This is just a test account that I use to be able to display stuff. But you'll be able to see stuff if you have orders. You'll be able to get orders, which I need to write that down because it doesn't show the order history, which it needs to. But the security part, this is huge, right? Especially with people getting passwords, this, that, spoofing things. It's great to enable two-factor authentication. If you don't have it on any of your accounts, I strongly suggest you do that. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all your banking stuff, you should have two-factor authentication enabled on it. So this was a priority for me. We do have in the app to the ability to do bio. Let's see here in the account section, settings. You have the ability to sign in with a Face ID, and that'll be as if you were logged out. It basically just locks it, right? If the screen happens to lock, it doesn't really lock Um, it just pretty much stays open or logged in, I should say. But if you happen to need to sign in with the bio, you can. Um, and obviously, I went over the financial privacy for folks. This is, again, it's not needed. The database is encrypted, but in order for your own clarity, my own clarity, I don't care about people's financial data that they put in there for expenses and win-ins and how much they pay for leagues. I don't care about the financial side. Um, but if you just click that, you do have to set your own passcode. Basically, you set a passphrase. Luigi is awesome. I love this app. Whatever you set, you record it, document it, because that is your key to ever decrypt that data, right? Even from a backup, right? You would need that. And then what that would happen is I do aggregate the bowling data, and I will be opening up a stats page eventually, probably in the next few weeks. That'll show aggregated stats by center, just overall in the app, how many games, strikes, so forth, spares, miss, open frames, just general random bowling stats. That's the stuff that I find interesting, right? Which pair is the best pair at X house, right? If people are tracking those information from a bowling standpoint, I can run an anonymous query on the database to get that information, right? Your identity is never leaked out. I don't share email addresses, usernames, any of that stuff with anyone, but I do like the aggregated stats, and we can easily query the database to get that stuff anonymously, and which is, I like that. I think that's pretty cool, right? And we do have some plans for some center stuff down the road, so that'll be nice. You're getting ready to do a tournament, you can look and do some reconnaissance on that center. Hey, how many people have, reported games there? What's the best pair in that house? Stuff like that is very valuable, especially when you're a tournament bowler, right? You kind of gauge, right? Not only your personal stuff, you can kind of, put yourself up against other people's information, which is nice. Whew. Yeah, I know. I throw a lot at people on these things. So I find out I talk a lot too. Um, but yeah, so I'm trying to stay focused. I am really trying to stay focused. So the other thing, my good friend Sean, he's actually been a beta user since before the app even went live. He was able to share some data with me to help with some import script stuff. When we had, I just released 2.08, and we fixed a bug in there with the data corruption. I don't know, Gavin, if you were affected by that one. I think you were part of this one, because I know I was. And what happened was when I switched from version 1 app to version 2, I switched the underlying database that we used from a MySQLite database to a Drift database to make it easier and um, more modern approach, and some of the underlying ways that we call the stats and the functions within the app itself, to make it more web compliant, because we are making the Tournament Sense app available to users on the web as well. Primarily just more for the pro user, right? But if not, you can technically still be able to log in as a non-pro user. But you didn't hear that from me. Shh. I could gate it if I really wanted to, but I probably won't make it gated. In case you don't have your phone on you, you want to pull up your stats real quick or do something, you'll be able to do that from the web. Or you don't want to download the app, you can still access it via the website. Just like subscribing, it's actually cheaper to subscribe to the app via the website versus the iStore, because I pass the savings on to you guys. Unfortunately, in the in-app purchase screens, I pass the cost on to the consumer as well. That's just, you have to do that from a business standpoint for that, which, most people will do that. I'm just open and honest about it and just letting you guys know that. So there's that. But the bug that came up was the data was missing. It really wasn't missing, but it appeared that it was missing. And we got that fixed. But then on some users, we found out that their data was getting garbled a little bit on some of the frames and their session data. And that's more if you just tracked your sessions, like your frame counts. And we're like, huh. So I started investigating it over the weekend. Actually, technically, I had a fix for it Friday, but I wanted to do some other stuff ahead of time. And what I found out was I messed up. Nothing major. It's just more from an architectural standpoint. Is not to get too nerdy with you guys, but I will because this is what this is about. Is to be transparent. Is the way I record the frames right now is I had a top layer frames query or database table that would basically, when you chose to score a game via frames, that means you're tracking each of your balls and every roll and stuff. What was happening is it was, as I save a frame, it was duplicating and leaving some orphan frames available, like, because there's an autosave feature that kind of saves things, but sometimes when you go back in to actually save it, it was creating an extra orphan frame entry, right, tied to that same thing. So when we did the data fix for this other stuff, when the data reconciled, it grabbed a lot of that orphan data and associated it with and the existing frames on not everything, but on some of the stuff. So I was like, oh man. So what we did now is we have a fix in place. And it's already been applied on the server side. So all the data that's got synced up to the server already got deduplicated, and what that means is it takes all the duplicate stuff and it merges it, makes sure it has one known good copy, and then we're restructuring. And this is what's taking a little bit is we're restructuring the way that the frames go. Is the frames don't have their own top collection now. It actually should be, and it should have been from the beginning, and I didn't catch it at the time. I just knew I was capturing the frames, and this is partly one of the things about vibe coding, right? You don't know what you don't know. And I didn't realize that the frames was not under the games. So now it's going to be structured where you have a game, and then a sub collection of data is going to be the frames, and they were always linked, right? Because you gather that game session ID in the frames. But now, from a collection standpoint and just a data organization standpoint, think of it, it's going to be a folder within the game's session versus a top level folder, if you will, or an album, right? If you're kind of looking at pictures, right? You have your favorites album, and then you have the pitches in there. That's the way it's going to be structured going forward. The other thing that I'm doing on the next update, which is coming out probably within the next day or two, is because I switched databases, there's different calls and migration functions from how things work. So when you go to the stats hub, right, all the stats are queried. Why is that so? Oh, because I'm in Candlepin. That's why. I'm like, why is there no stats in here? But it's because I'm still in Candlepin, and I did not change Candlepin. So I could have just changed the settings there, the filter. Where was I? Stats hub, overall stats. Okay. So the way that all these get queried is there's functions inside what they call repository provider that lets it know what to call it and so forth. Some of the stuff is still on the old system in the provider system, and I'm going to what they call Riverpod pod setup. It's my New England accent getting in the way there. So it's a little better, a little more optimized, right? So as I do that, I'm almost done converting all of the stats providers over to the new system. Things that you won't see personally. It's just under the covers, making it more better, if you will, and just perform better. I'm always looking at how I can make the app perform optimally for myself, right? Because I use this app every week, multiple times, as well as you, the user, right? I want you guys to have the best user experience. So that's why I did not push out the database fix just yet, because I wanted to roll them out together, and hopefully everything goes smoothly and everything updates fine. The other thing that I did do is I also added in backing up the cloud database on a regular schedule basis. I think at the time I had it set for like 1 week, and I said that's not enough. I need to do it more. So I increased the backup schedule. So in the event that something happens, I could potentially go back to a backup copy of the data, because you can never have enough backups, right? And then I also restructured the dev environment, and I keep the dev environment separate, and it's completely separate authentication um, environment, because if I want to make a rules change, kind of like what I did, I messed up. I did a rules. When I changed the in-app purchases screen, and I did away with Revenue Cat, because Revenue Cat is another um, plugin. They make the paywall stuff, when you go to subscribe for a pro user, really nice and easy. The only challenge with Revenue Cat is they take a percentage. So everything is taking a piece of the pie. All right, and I need to try and make this app profitable so it can pay for and sustain itself. That's the end goal, is for it to sustain itself. I'm sure my wife would love that, because right now everything I do with this app is out of pocket. So it's also a challenge. I'm not a millionaire. I did not raise $6 million like Lane Talk did. I wish I did, but I did not. I'm doing this from the ground up. So when I did that, I didn't realize I put a .app, and this is where it happens when you work on multiple apps, because I have a forkmark.app that I'm creating that will be out in beta soon. That's a restaurant journal and app, and I'll probably do a live on that at some point once it goes live. But I added a .app to the way that the bundle identifier goes in that screen without realizing it, and it wasn't allowing, specifically in Android, the pro users purchase to get recognized by the licensing system that I built and put in place. And luckily, I had a user reach out to me today. He did the trial. I did also enable a 2-week trial, a 14-day trial technically, on the pro user feature. I think that's a good adjustment. If people don't think 14 days is enough, I may extend it to 21, but I think 14 days is enough for you to try it a few times to understand it, see if you like that feature. If not, it'll revert back to the basic user, which is, fine. You just have that small little ad, which you can see right here under all the screens. But I got that rectified. That bug is fixed as well. That was on a server side code. It wasn't actually anything in the app. But I got that fixed. I'm trying to think what else. I know I'm trying to be as informative as possible for you guys, so you can see, but I can't give away too much of what's coming, because that's the the other thing that I'm doing too is, I always see in the App Store, you see like the beautiful app screenshots and stuff, and then I look at my screenshots and I'm like, my screens are just ugly plain screenshots. So there's a site called, what is it? It's app app screenshots. Where is it? App screens. This site right here. I'll show you. See, again, I probably show more than I should, but I don't care. It's a learning process for all of us. So there's this site right here called App Screens. It's actually pretty cool, except all. And what it does is it basically just helps you to create these handy dandy, nice screenshot images, right, that you see. And we'll just explore templates real quick. So you see like this, when you go to an app store and you see like this nice cohesive, I was always like, man, that stuff is really cool. So I'm working on doing something like that for the app stores, right? So you'll see something updated. I think I'm using, I'll show you guys which one I'm using. I don't care. This is a fun project for me. I'm converting this one right here. I kind of like this app, right, this one right here, this green one. I'm converting this one. Let's do a preview. I'm converting this one right here to the tournament sense, right? So I felt like it kind of fit, right? Because we do the financial tracking within the app, and it's data, right? We're tracking bowling data. So I thought this would be pretty cool, right? For me to, all this will be relevant for tournament sense, right? But it'll kind of look like this. And I like that. I thought that was pretty cool, from a marketing standpoint, right? I'm still learning. I'm not a marketing guy. I used to do tech marketing for HP, HPE, the big tech company many years ago, but it's been a while since I've wore a marketing hat from a day-to-day job. But so that'll be coming out soon, maybe for 2.5, maybe sooner, that it'll get updated. Not many people are going to show you that behind the scenes stuff, by the way, but I will, because I love you guys. Let's be honest. You're my users. I'm a user. It's just nice to be, maybe it helps inspire someone that, decides to create an app and they have questions, right? So I have no problem showing my pitfalls at times. because you have to. You know, you have to share that. So one cool thing that I thought of, and so I was on Instagram the other day, checking the Tournament Sense Instagram feed, and I follow a lot of the local bowlers. If I know you're a bowler, I'll probably follow you back. Otherwise, I probably won't follow you back. It's nothing personal. I try to follow people back, especially the younger bowlers. I know we got Jordan out there in the Pacific Northwest. I slowly trying to convert Jordan over to Tournament Sense away from Pin Pal. He's a great young bowler, really good. He's senior in high school right now. Going to college, he's going to be a collegiate bowler. So very, very talented young gentleman. Him and his girlfriend, she's also a talented collegiate. I don't know if she's in college yet, or she's at least a high school bowler, but she'll most likely be a collegiate bowler. She's really good too. But there was another gentleman on Instagram that I do follow that follows the page, and I was just with my wife randomly out there, and I was like, "Oh man, this is a great recap screen." And I was like, "Oh, that is so pretty." I'm like, "That looks so familiar to me. It like looks really familiar." And I'm like, "I really like that recap screen. It's actually really nice." Yeah, it's our recap screen for those that weren't wondering. But it's nice when you see it in the wild and you see it come across your feed, right? It just makes me feel nice that someone's actually sharing my stuff. But it also made me think here is I'm going to click on the tournament recap screen. And this was the screen that was displayed, right? The gentleman had this um, screenshot right here. Not this particular screenshot because this is my own screenshot um, of the events and stuff for a tournament, right? And it made me think that I need to make this a little more customizable for users. So at some point, I will probably put up a poll, right, to make this cut because I make it customizable, right? There's certain things you can do and show and so forth. As a pro user, you have the ability to change the colors, and I got some other stuff coming down the pike already planned. But I like to make it customizable for users, right? Give them a reason to do it, right? Not just the pro users. I believe in the regular user as well. I don't need people to go pro. I'll earn the 2 cents over a course of a year for people to use it for this ad to display, because I do. And I actually have it hardwired. Even though I have the pro features, I hard coded it so that I always get an ad displayed because I want the ad revenue personally. For me, that little ad doesn't bother me, but I want the pro features. But I saw this and I was like, man, that's such a cool screen. It's such a cool screen. And then I realized it was my screen. And it made it even cooler. And I was like, and I thanked him for sharing our screen and using our app. But it also made me think of, because he most likely does this right here. He eliminates this top part, right? The header part. So it allowed me to think, wait a second, if people wanted a little more condensed, I need to make that option happen. So I plan on adding that into the settings here, where you can go through and change it, and it'll eliminate the header. So the header is this part right here that says Worcester County USB-C, right? You'll be able to eliminate this part right here from the screenshot if you want. You don't have to, but you'll be able to. And then that'll give more of a screen displayed here as well. So that way you get that overall stats thing. So that's it. I thought it was really cool on there. So yeah, I got the candlepin stuff. I added more candlepin stats. The filtering, I made sure that was working pretty good for the candlepin folks. I do plan on going to candlepin. I'm going to meet up with a gentleman named Micah. He's really into stats and stuff and pick his brain, especially on my content creator side that I plan on doing. I wonder, should we do a quick sneak peek of the director app? How do I keep it? Yeah, screw it. We're going to do it. Let me just log into it over here. Now this is 100% pre-beta, so forgive me. This is not, oh yeah, we'll use the reviewer account. This is a pre-build, right? It's almost ready for beta. I'm just logging in over here. Just give me a second. Yeah, I gotta try and research why who's not staying logged in the TikTok streams. It's got to be a Stream Elements thing. I use Stream Elements to broadcast this, so if anyone's looking to stream to multiple platforms at once, I'm sure there's a way to do it on OBS, and I'll probably research it. But I really like Streamlabs. Um, it's easy to use. I could show you the interface. It's pretty easy. I got the chat in one window, and I open up the Instagram window on the other side, um, and so forth. But not now. All right, so this is a pre-build look. Let's minimize this app because we're pretty much done with the app for now. So we'll minimize you, move you over here. So this right here it's kind of almost like what the bowling app is going to look like as well. I could log into the bowling app so you could see that as well, but I'm in the director app because this is pretty cool. And you have it so you get your tournaments, you create your tournaments and options. The series, this is kind of more like I think a NEBA, right? Northeast Amateur Bowling, right? Where you have a multiple tournament series. Think of the PBA, right? The series, tournament series type thing. That's going to be almost like a league, but it's going to be in a tournament format where every event could have a potential different format for it, right? Whereas leagues pretty much are pretty standard for the most part. You're not changing the format every week, but in a series, and you'll be able to add in point systems, right? So that way you can get player of the year points and so forth. And that'll all get auto calculated and there'll be options. I'm still working on all this stuff. The registrations, you'll be able to register. There's a kiosk mode where you could open this app up on because it's going to be available on Apple, Android, Windows, Mac OS, and the web, right? As you can see, I'm in a web page, right? So there'll be multiple ways that a user can use it. In case you have bad Wi-Fi, you could have the app downloaded on a device. There'll be a kiosk mode. When you have the kiosk mode enabled, it's just for quick check-ins, right? You go check in, a user can check in. There'll also be the ability to check in to the tournament from your mobile device. If you have Tournament Sense, there's going to be integrations that you'll be able to check in automatically from there as well. But yep, you can run side pots and stuff from here. Explore. I definitely need people that I don't run tournaments. I don't run leagues. So if anyone knows anyone that runs a tournament or a league and they want to, beta test this and try it, I'm gonna try seeing if my good buddy Rich that I work in the pro shop with, if he might be willing to. He's got a travel league that he's doing this summer. If he might be able to willing to test it for the summer. This isn't going to be released in the next month. I'm hoping. I mean, it could if the beta testers came back and gave positive reviews and things are all working. 98%, 90% functional. Right, that's an MVP. Technically, this is an MVP. Right, minimal viable products. That's what in the development world, that's what they use. They call it MVP. You give enough functionality to get it out. It may have some quirks, but you'll work on the quirks in an update, right? That's what all software companies do. I didn't agree with it at first, but if that's the case, I'd still be developing my app with all the features and everything that I want to put in it. So now I do it in small sprints. And right now, the sprint that I'm on is just optimization and bug fixes. 2.5 will be enhancements. For this is still an alpha build, if you will. It's the first build of it. And I'm trying to make it as easy and user friendly as possible for folks. But this beta will be live probably when I come back from nationals. There are a couple of users that have access to this now that are getting the pre-access to the beta, but that's just because I'm open to that because they're very supportive of me and my vision. So it's nice to get their feedback. But yeah, that's the director app. The coach app, I haven't uploaded the build to the web. I was working on this the other day. That's why that is there. And it's already deployed to the dev environment. The coach app I was working on last night. Yeah, it was last night. I haven't deployed that to the cloud yet to have it to be able to show any pieces of that. I'm really excited for that though. that app myself personally. My coach, Aaron Major, we are a sponsor of Aaron's for the PBA regional season. We were able to work out a nice deal. Um, so he will be like Tim. So we have two sponsored athletes. I am working on a kind of like a staff program, if you will, kind of like CTD. There'll be like a free tier where anyone can sign up and register for it. It'll be in their account screen. You'll sign up, and what that'll give is if you want to be able to, put the jersey logo on the jersey, share about the app on the website, on your socials every so often. Um, and I'll give you like 5 to 10% off or something. I got to try and figure out that. And I'll be able to automatically sign up because once you sign up as a staffer, you'll be able to automatically get a discount on the merch that's coming down the pike. I'm actually working with my son. Probably when I come back from Reno, I'm going to work with my son on getting more stuff in the store. We're going to be launching a TS apparel line, so we'll be able to make custom jerseys. We do have a couple apparel people, Many Styles LaRue. He makes a jersey for us. Brian Meyer with Primo Apparel. He makes a couple of jerseys for us. But again, trying to give it to people at a more resourceful way. We're going to create our own apparel line and be able to offer custom jerseys for folks as well, from the ground up, and hopefully save them some money in the process. But then also make our own designs, which is nice, and not have to rely on someone else. Right? I try to cut out the middleman when I can, if it makes sense. If it doesn't make sense, and my son is willing to help me with that, so he'll be one of the first people to actually help me in this project, outside of my strategic advisorship partner with Tim Foy and so forth, any other beta users. So that's coming down the pike. And then, I was talking with some of the PBA pros and Nick Pate when he was autographing my Tournament Sense chamois for my son. He's like, I guess I'll be a sponsored Tournament Sense athlete. I said, I really wish I had the funds to sponsor more athletes, and I'm hoping that next year, as this app takes off over the next year, we're able to do so. Keep our partnership and sponsorship with Tim, and bring on some other of the national athletes, and some of the regional pros and stuff on board, so, as well as female, not just male bowlers, um, and so forth. But that's it. Yeah. If there's anything else people want to see, I always say, submit a support ticket. There is the feedback option in the app where you could just provide feedback. Hey, I'd like the app to be able to do this. This process is a little convoluted. Can it do something more like X, Y, Z? And I'm open to it if it makes sense from a coding perspective, time perspective, and if it actually is beneficial to the end user, and so forth. But yep, that's it. That's all I got tonight, folks. I appreciate you tuning in. Gavin, I'll shoot you a message when I'm done eating my tacos. My son got me Taco Bell, which I haven't eaten yet. So when I'm done eating, I'll shoot you a message about that spinner. Sean, I don't know if you're watching, but your spinner's done. I just showcased it here. I did not get it shipped out yet. I was, in all honesty, lazy today. I had some work stuff to do. I do work full time, so I was working on some stuff. I didn't get out to the shipping store. But tomorrow I should be able to hopefully drop that in the post to you down there in Georgia. Go Tigers, Sean. Go Tigers. But, all right, folks. Good night.